Hello, sports fans. It's me, Sportsman Z. Getting an early start. I know I'm getting a little bit of an early start, but just, I guess we'll talk as people chime in. So tonight we will be discussing opening day. And opening day of baseball happening tomorrow. Got my White Sox are opening, I believe, against the Anaheim or California Angels or whatever they're called now. But we're opening against the Angels, and it should be. I mean, hopefully we beat the Angels. They don't have a very good pitching staff, so. So we'll have to see how that goes. I'll be looking forward to talking to people about their teams, who's opening against who. Who do you think is pitching for your favorite team tomorrow? I'm pretty sure we're going to have Giolito going up. I mean, I think he's the no-brainer for the White Sox going up against the Angels tomorrow. And that'll probably be a later game, might even be an evening game, but at least a 4 o'clock start. So we'll see what happens with some of the other teams. Pittsburgh Sports all the time is joining us. So, I'm just discussing opening day. Everybody's getting psyched for that, I hope. I was saying that the White Sox open against the Angels tomorrow. So, I think we're expected to have Giolito going for us. The White Sox did not have a good preseason, though, a good spring training. So we're going to have to see how that works out for them, because Art with Austin, the White Sox talk line, I just got logged out of my account, but yeah. Well, hi, all are welcome. So the White Sox, as I was saying, the White Sox did not have a very good spring training. It wasn't, at least not as good as you would expect. Now, I know you don't want to read too much into spring training results, because, guys are working on stuff, and you've got a lot of new first-year players that are playing, but we will see how it goes when the lights go up and the real stuff is happening. I'll be interested to see if we can survive the loss of Eloy Jimenez, who is out for at least most of the year and probably all of the season. But Astros McGee. Go Astros, yeah. The Astros should have a good season this year. I think they're going to be one of the better teams. I'm doing good. But the American League has got a lot of good teams this year. In fact, the American League, I think, is going to be one that's hard to figure out who the winner coming out of there will be. The White Sox, I think, are in the mix, but losing Eloy was a big blow for them. But, you've got other teams, the Yankees, the Rays. I think the Rays are still good, even though they traded away, what was his name? I'm drawing a blank. But anyway, one of their great pitcher that they took out in the World Series there. But the Rays are, I think they're still a tough team. They might even still win the East, I think. So you got the White Sox, the Rays, the Yankees, the Astros, of course. I think the Astros are are a good team that they can be right in the mix, even to win the West. In fact, they probably are the favorites to win the West. Yeah, they lost Morton, and the Rays did. But I think they're still a tough team. And then the A's. I think we have to discuss the A's, too. Yeah, the Pirates, it's going to be a tough year for the Pirates. The they're still a long way away, and they need to use the blueprint that other teams have, like my White Sox have used, where they just are bad for a few years, get some high draft picks, trade off veteran players that do well. I don't know how many veteran players the Pirates still have left, but whatever they've got, they should trade them off and try to do a rebuild. But the AL Central, though, I think it's going to be tough. I think the Indians are still a tough team. Unless they keep trading players away, but the Indians are going to be tough. I think the Twins, they won the division last year, so you have to imagine that the Twins would be the favorite again to win it, especially with us having lost Eloy for the year. And Rodon at the back of our rotation, I don't know about that. They seem to be set on having Rodon at the back of the rotation, but it's going to be tough with him. And also, Kopech, I think, is going to start the year in the bullpen, and then the plans is to work him into the rotation later in the year. But until that happens, it's going to be tough to try to keep pace with the Twins. The only thing I can say about the Twins, though, is that the Twins have a lot of older players who are injury prone and have a record of being injury prone, like Donaldson and the center fielder. Names just. But anyway, they do have a lot of guys that are injury prone, and they also have, and J.A. Happ, he's getting older. And also Cruz. Nelson Cruz had a great year last year, but he is like 42 years old, so we'll have to see how he performs. Let's see. And then the AL East, I think you're talking about the Yankees and the Rays, pretty much. The Blue Jays are good. I don't think the Blue Jays are quite ready yet, though. They are still maybe a year or two away. Their pitching staff is not that strong. They have a lot of issues with their starting pitching staff, and even really their bullpen. Offensively, they're great. Offensively, I think the Blue Jays are ready, but they've got to get some pitching. They got to improve on their pitching in the staff and in the bullpen. So I think I see the East as being the Rays and the Yankees. Then you got the Central, like I said, the White Sox in the Central, the Twins, and the Indians. I think even though the Royals are improving, and really even Detroit is improving, but they're still a while away. And then in the West, you've got the Astros, and you got the A's. The A's may have lost too much, but we'll see if that's the case. They always seem to be. They're kind of like the Rays. They don't spend a lot of money, and they seem to lose good players every year. And it doesn't matter how good the players are that they lose. They always seem to bounce back, and they're right there. They're still right there in the thick of things. But in the National League, I think if you're saying it's going to be anybody but the Dodgers, that's a tough sell. I mean the Padres are a very good team. They did a lot in the offseason, but the Dodgers just won the World Series, and then they added Trevor Bauer. So with them having, being the world champions and having added Trevor Bauer, I don't know. The Padres, I think, will be right there. The Padres might be the wild card, but or one of the wild cards. I think there's two wild cards, so the Padres will definitely be in the mix. But I'm thinking the Dodgers have to be the favorite to win the National League overall. In the Central, we'll see what happens with the Cubs. The Cubs, I think, are fading a little bit, but there's really no team in the Central that's really, I see, as a clear-cut winner of that division. The Cubs are fading a little bit. The Cardinals, they went out, they got Arenado, but they've had some issues with their starting staff. And there's the guys that are slated to be the starters for the Cardinals this season haven't had good springs. Plus, their guy Mikolas is injured; he's on the shelf for a little while. So the Cardinals got their issues. As we've said, the Pirates, they're not going anywhere. Who else is in that division? Milwaukee will be good, but again, is Milwaukee really a clear-cut winner of that division? And I think you have to say no, it's really not. They could win. They certainly could win the division, but I don't think that they're like a runaway choice for the Central Crown. But it may end up being a three-team race between the Brewers, the Cardinals, and the Cubs. The Reds, I think the Reds are kind of a strange team. They're like the Padres were a few years ago. They go out and they get some high-priced talent, and then they don't do as well as they thought, and then they let some guys walk or they trade other guys away, and then, I guess they wait a year or two and then they try it again. They need to just step back and do the same kind of rebuild that other teams are doing. And then you got the East. And the East is also kind of hard to call because every year people seem to think that the Mets are a good team that's going to make a run that could win the East, and then they are terrible, for lack of a better word. Or if not terrible, they're not nearly as good as people expect. And then you've got the Atlanta Braves, who every year everyone expects the Atlanta Braves to be bad or not win the division or whatever, and then they're very good and they end up winning the division. So the Nationals, I don't think the Nationals are really quite there yet. They've lost a few guys and their staff is getting old, and Corbin didn't pitch as well as they expected him to, and so is he going to pitch well again this year? Is he going to pitch like he did when he was on, I think it was Arizona previously? So we don't know how that's going to go. So I don't know about the Nationals. And then the Phillies. Yeah, Miami. Yeah, we'll see about Miami. I mean, I think Miami benefited a great deal last year from the fact that there was only a 60-game season. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they can really hang for 162 games with the pitching staff that the Mets have, and plus they went out and they got Lindor, and you've got the Braves with that lineup that the Braves have. It's going to be tough for Miami to hang with them. And really for those reasons, I think it'll also be tough for the Nationals to come out of that, out of that division as the champion, or even maybe as a playoff team. But we'll see. We'll see. That's why they say you got to play the game on the field, not on paper. And in fact, they had Pacoda predictions for the, I guess, the Baseball Prospectus group does their preseason predictions, and they had some teams that were really, I mean, I think they were way off. They had the White Sox finishing third in the Central with only like 83 wins, and that is just crazy, in my opinion. I don't think the White Sox are going to win in the low 80s. I think it's going to be at least mid 80s and possibly high 80s to low 90s. And I don't think they're going to be the third place team. The last year they were third place only because they were in a tie with Cleveland and they had lost the season series to Cleveland. But I don't think that that's going to happen again this year. Yeah, the Nationals shocked the world in 2019. It's interesting that in 2019, the Nationals had gotten off to a terrible start, just like they did, and then last year, their whole 2020, because it was only 60 games, was about like their start in 2019 was. But then they turned it around and they won a ton of games coming down the stretch, and they ended up being the world champions. So that was one of the more crazy turnarounds I've seen in the history of baseball. But the baseball season, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint. So it's not who gets off to the best start. It's who can grind away and grind away and grind away. At some point, though, if you fall behind, at some point you're going to have to win a lot of games. And the Nationals clearly did that in the second half of the season in 2019. So that's where we are. So I'm getting psyched for opening day, though. I'm loving it. And I'm especially excited because of the way last season went down. You had spring training starting and you were getting all ready, and the usual spring training stuff was happening, and then all of a sudden they just shut it down because of COVID. And then there was a long layoff with no games and no players doing anything. And then they had to do a kind of a quick startup and then a 60-game season. But now it looks like they're going to be able to get the whole season in. I think they have a blueprint now for dealing with players that possibly come down with the virus, and tracking it and making sure that they all the protocols that they have in place, I think, can pull off the season. It's easier to do that in like the NFL season, because the NFL season is only 16 games long, whereas with baseball it's 162. So that's the only thing I would say about that, is that they're going to have to really be vigilant to make sure that that this entire season goes off. I don't want to say without a hitch, because there's probably going to be things that come up, but they I think they know how to get through this season, though. And I sure hope they do, because I think my White Sox are going to have a good season. It's going to be interesting to see the Dodgers, that new team with with Trevor Bauer, and even some other teams, some like sneaky teams that might fly under the radar, like the Red Sox. I'm not saying that the Red Sox are going to get a wild card, but it would be funny to see if that did happen. But a lot would have to go right, especially for the Red Sox pitching staff, for them to slip into the playoffs. But that would be something to look at, to see. And and I'm also interested to see the new guys that start playing. Do you think throughout the course of the season that the injury to the White Sox star will come back to? But yeah, I think Eloy's injury, if it doesn't prevent us from making the playoffs, which I don't think it will. I think we'll still make the playoffs without him. But without him, once we make the playoffs, that's going to be tough. It's going to be hard to get through the playoffs to the World Series without Eloy. Now, he might be back by the end of the season. There's a possibility he could come back maybe in September. I've heard speculation he could be back before the season's over. I certainly hope that that's the case, but I also don't want the White Sox to rush him back. And the A's, I think I talked about the A's a little earlier. I think the A's have a good team. I think they should contend for the Western Division championship with the Astros, but even if they don't win the West, I think they have a very good shot of being one of the wild card teams. Yeah, I mean, that's where I stand with that. The A's, they're always, like I said, they're one of those organizations. It doesn't matter who they get or who they lose. They always tend to have a competitive team and a team that's better than you think they're going to be. Like Tampa Bay, So we'll see how Tampa Bay ends up, but I think Tampa Bay has a chance of winning the East, and if not winning the East, being one of the wild cards in the American League. So we'll see how that works out, but the White Sox, they may not make the playoffs. We'll see. I think they're going to figure it out, though. I think they'll figure out how to get in there even without Eloy. The lineup really wasn't the problem. It's really the back end of the rotation with the White Sox that's more of an issue, and that was an issue even before Eloy went down. So we'll see. And yeah, I mean, that's how it is. Once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen because it's a bunch of short series. I think the first one, I think they still have that one game thing where one team plays another, like one wild card plays another wild card for a wild card play-in type of a deal. And then you've got short series. Anything can happen in a short series. You don't know. It's not like during the season where you've got to have 5 starters, and 2 of the 5 starters aren't generally very good, and you have to go through throughout the season with that. But in a short series, you can take your 3, maybe 4 best pitchers and put them up in the series against the other team. And yeah. Yeah, that was a mistake. Tony La Russa mistaken Tony La Russa for Tommy Lasorda. But yeah, La Russa, I wasn't happy with the La Russa hire. I really wanted them to hire Hinch, but he went to Detroit after the White Sox hired La Russa. I mean, he was good in the 80s, and but bringing back the big 80s, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully he's not too out of touch. The only thing I would say about La Russa that I'm happy with La Russa being the manager is that maybe he'll manage the way he did back in the day, and he won't manage the way managers do this, now. Because I hate the whole thing with like openers and with pitchers only going 4 innings, 5 innings, 2 innings, that's BS. I don't like that. So I want to see somebody, and if anyone will, it'll be La Russa, who will take this, 7-man staff and or a 5-man staff and have them pitch 7 innings and not take them out if they're pitching well. That's what really drives me nuts, is that a pitcher's pitching really great, and then the manager comes out and he takes him out after 5, after 6, and starts bringing the bullpen in. And then what you're doing is you're just burning out the bullpen, and you're also taking the starter out after 6. And I know there's plenty of data that shows that when starters go the third time through the order, they're not as effective because the batters have gotten their timing down on them, and all that stuff. There's even data to support the shift, and I don't like the shift either. Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. Can La Russa's old school do new school? And I don't want him to do new school. I think he can win with the old school. And that's what I want. I want pitchers going 7 innings if they can. I want him to do the eyeball test and know that a guy is ready to be taken out after 7 or 8 or whatever it is, and not leaning so heavily on the bullpen and not doing shifts all over the place. And like I said, I know that the data supports that these types of things that they work, but I'm more of an old school guy. Play the players where they play. And really, how many hits every year does the shift really take away? It doesn't take that many hits away. I don't think it does. Yeah, Dusty Baker gasses pitchers, yeah. But, I think you have to do the eyeball test. You have to know, is the guy ready to be taken out? And really, the third time through the order thing, you're going to see that. If the pitcher is ready to come out because he's not effective, you're going to see that, and then you can take him out. And if that happens after 5, it happens after 5. If it happens after 6, it happens after 6. Whenever it happens, that's fine. Take him out then. But, that's what I want to see. So from that standpoint, I'm happy that we got La Russa, but I was really hoping that they were going to go out and hire Hinch. But I guess they didn't want all the baggage that Hinch came with, which again, and Detroit's going to go through that for a little while, maybe the first month of the season. But after the first month, it's going to die down. People are going to forget about it. They're not going to ask him about it anymore. But he is going to have to deal with it for a little while. I don't think he really should even have to. I don't think it's really an issue. But, the media has their ways of making an issue out of things that they, that they want to make an issue out of. I think A.J. Hinch is going to do well as the Tigers man. I think he's going to do as well as he can. I mean, he doesn't have he is. You're right. A.J. Hinch is a great manager. But he is limited with Detroit in how good the Detroit players are. I mean, he's limited by the Detroit player personnel. So he'll do only as good as his players will take him. Now, I think he'll get the most out of them. I think he's going to get the most possible that he can get out of the talent he has, because that is how good he is. But Detroit still has to. They're still a few years away with the player talent that they've got, and he's going to have to deal with that. Now, if Detroit knows what's good for him, they're going to understand that, and they're going to give him a few years to get that program, back on its feet. But I think they hired him with that intention. And I think the White Sox hired La Russa because they're in win now mode. Win right now, and La Russa's our guy. Yeah, you got to have the players. If you don't have the players, the manager isn't going to make a difference one way or the other. There's no team in the history of baseball that won because the manager was great and he had a bad, but even though he had a bad team. that hasn't happened. So I'm getting psyched for opening day. I know that you guys, sounds like you are too. And let's hope that we have a real baseball season this year. Fans are going to be back in the parks, even if they will only be 25% full, 50% full, whatever it's going to be. The White Sox. Well, I don't know. They've got a lot of young talent, and they locked up Lewis Robert for a while, and I think they locked up, or they're working on trying to lock up Moncada. So they've got some young players, some good young players. Now they do have how long is Dallas Keuchel going to be effective? That's a question. The back end of the bullpen has its issues. Let's see. Yeah. So we'll see with La Russa what he can do. I think he's got the talent. He's got the talent, even with Eloy missing most or all of the year. I still think he's got the talent to take the White Sox to the playoffs. And then, like we said, once you get to the playoffs, it's whatever, it's a bunch of short series and anything can happen. Yeah, Keuchel he's maybe a little overrated, but last year he did have a 199 earned run average, so he did pitch well last year. Cardboard fans, that was crazy. So it's nice that now we're going to have the parks are going to have they're going to be full of not full, but they're going to be at least 50% capacity, 25% capacity, and maybe by the end of the year a lot of the stadiums will be able to fill up. That would be good. It would be nice to see that. And so let's see here. What have we got? As far as announcements, I just want to say that tomorrow's video that will be going up will be comparing the White Sox to the Twins for 2021. Saving that one for last, right before the season starts. I've still got two more I've got to do, but the Twins, I think, is going to be a highly anticipated video, us versus the Twins, and I do a nice breakdown on that. And let's see. And then I've got on Friday, we're going to be revealing my Stratomatic Providence Grays team, my Stratomatic baseball team, as our first week of play is going to start on Saturday, or our first week's worth of games will be Saturday. So, let's see. I will say, rooting for a team that is allowing fans in the building. Yeah, allowing fans in the building, and I think most teams are doing that. But it is very localized as far as how bad the virus is in certain areas, so we'll see. But I think by the end of the season, I'm hoping that most stadiums, if not all, are able to fill to most capacity, if not 100%. That would be nice to see. But anyway, yeah, so I've got some, I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see, the Rangers are allowing full capacity. Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, I would expect that, probably the Florida teams are allowing full capacity too. Although really with the Rays don't get full capacity no matter what, whether there's no virus or there is, and really neither do the Marlins, come to think about it. But let's see. Yeah, the White Sox are starting out against the Angels. I don't know who came up with that idea, because you've got like the Red Sox are starting against um, the Baltimore Orioles. The Blue Jays are starting against the Yankees. Those are both divisional. Us, we're starting against the Angels. So, yeah, Texas, of course. I mean, we all know why Texas, and probably Florida will allow as many fans as they want in. Oh, the Astros are allowing 75%. Interesting. It's probably a team decision, though. I don't know if they could allow. I would think they could allow the entire stadium to be filled if they wanted to, but some teams are overly cautious. Yeah, the Rays and the cardboard fans. The cardboard fan, that was a crazy thing, and piping the crowd noise into the stadiums, that was crazy. Pittsburgh's playing the Cubs and the Reds for the first three series. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Most teams are starting off against, in divisional, with divisional opponents. And we're starting off on the West Coast with the Angels. I don't know what kind of craziness that's all about. Yeah, two old style managers. That's true. So that'll be an interesting series. It's really kind of interesting that they decided to do that, because the White Sox almost always, it seems to me, start off against Kansas City, but yeah, and the Astros have the A's. That's what I'm saying, and probably not allowing it. Should be in, yeah. So anyway, I guess that's about all I've got to say for tonight. It's been a great talk. I always like, every once in a while getting out and doing a live stream to get people on, get talking about what's going on in the sports world. And this is on the eve before the start of the baseball season, so I thought it was a perfect time to come out and to have a live stream and talk with people. And so I guess that's all I've got for right now. And as I say in my videos, that's going to be it for me, Sportsman Z, Bob Zalke, signing